Good morning, Manitoba. I'm Larry McIntosh, and I'll be your host for the next hour. And thank you very much for tuning in. I'm very pleased to let you know that Peak of the Market's 17th Annual Family Fun Day is coming up on Thursday, August 20th. And I know that's a little ways away, but people like to get it in their calendar. Now, due to a major renovation and the installation of our new packaging equipment last year, we didn't have Family Fun Day for the first time in many years, but we're back this year. So August 20th, there'll be a free potato pancake breakfast, free pork on a bun, potato salad, coleslaw lunch, with free pony rides, a petting zoo, popcorn, a giant slide, bouncers, and a lot more. And everything is absolutely free with any donation to Variety, the children's charity of Manitoba. And please mark your calendar again. Our 17th Annual Family Fun Day is Thursday, August 20th from 8 to 4 at Peak of the Market, which is at 1200 King Edward Street in Winnipeg. And my prediction is the weather is going to be outstanding. My coworkers and I look forward to seeing you then. My guest this morning is Sierra Noble, singer-songwriter. Good morning, Sierra. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Larry?
Great. So you've been busy since you were on the show. I don't know how long ago. It was a while ago. You just got back from Nashville last week, this week? When did you get back?
A couple days ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Or
so
a few days ago, I guess.
Tell us about why you're in Nashville, although I can speculate.
Well, Nashville is Music City, as they call it. And I've just been...
Now, is it Music City for just country, or is it Music City for every type of music?
For a long time it was primarily country music, but these days it's really everything.
Okay.
It's growing a lot. It's actually the fastest growing city in America right now, and it's mostly musicians moving from places like New York and LA, flocking to Nashville. It's just a really wonderful community of supportive musicians and creative energy. It's a great time to be there.
I know I was in Nashville a long time ago with my parents. I saw Dolly Parton there. I remember that to this day. Yeah, the old Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah,
so that's a while back.
The Ryman.
I interrupted you. What were you doing in Nashville? Sorry.
Well, I've been writing and just finishing up my new album, actually. So it's been exciting times getting that finished after so many years.
So when did your last album come out?
My last EP of 5 songs came out in 2008 or beginning of 2009.
What's an EP?
It is, if you want to get into the technicalities, it's actually stands for extended play.
Okay.
But it's a little counterintuitive unless you know the history of it, because it's actually shorter than a full album. So it's a little ridiculous. But it was 5 songs, and this one is a full-length LP or long play.
So I didn't know that's what it stood for.
With 10 songs. So 10 songs that I've been writing, or that I have written over the last 6 years. And it's, I'm really proud of it. I really am.
So when's the album going to be coming out? Do you know yet, or?
In the next few months.
Okay.
Basically as soon as possible.
Are you still finishing up, or?
Finishing up the final touches. I have to get the audio mastered. Won't get into what that means if you don't know. It's boring.
Makes it sound better?
Makes it sound a little better and makes all the volumes the same and the sequencing proper and blah, blah, blah. And then also the artwork. And so a local Winnipeg graphic artist is doing the artwork, Roberta Hansen. She just won a Juno for graphic design.
Oh, wow.
She's awesome. Really excited.
So you've been working on writing songs for this for how long?
Well, I've really just been writing songs all the time for the last 6 years. And along those 6 years, I've, had plans to put out albums at many different times, and it just hasn't worked out. But, when you get to the end of a journey and you get to look back, then hindsight's always 20/20, and it always seems like it was the right thing.
Now, you're making it sound like you're a veteran that's been doing this for 50 years.
You're
like pretty young. You're pretty young here.
I've been doing this professionally for 11 years, and I'm only 25. But yes, I have not been doing it for 40 or 50 years. But it's been a while.
Been working towards this for a while. So is there a name of the album yet, or?
Yeah, it's called City of Ghosts.
City of Ghosts.
Yeah, and that line comes from a song called Coming Home to Say Goodbye that I wrote about Winnipeg.
Oh.
And so Winnipeg is the city of ghosts, as I call it. And that basically alludes to, in the song, I've talked about how Winnipeg is a city of ghosts, and in the way that we all at some point leave Winnipeg, and for any number of reasons, whether it's just to explore the world and see what else is out there, or because it's too cold, or there's too many mosquitoes. The person that I wrote it with, he said, well, the one thing I've noticed about Winnipeggers is you all leave Winnipeg. And I kind of laughed, but then I was like, well, it's kind of true, but we also, more importantly, always come home. And when we leave, we kind of leave this ghost impression of ourselves, like a little piece of us never leaves. We never quite fully leave, so then it calls us home.
In some ways, don't you think that by leaving, you see what other places are like, and you kind of appreciate more what we have here?
Absolutely. Yeah, Winnipeg is a phenomenal city. It's a beautiful community, some of the nicest people in the world. And, traveling. I remember I was in Denmark playing at a festival, and somebody asked me where I was from, and I said I was from Winnipeg, and they were like, I thought so. I was like, really? They're like, you just seem like a Winnipegger. You're all so nice, and you just have this certain thing about you. I was like, that's great.
We're speaking with Sierra Noble. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. Peak of the Market is on Twitter. Please follow us at Peak of the Market for recipes and Food and Friends guest updates. We have over 220,000 Twitter followers, and we'd love to have you follow us too. Again, we're at Peak of the Market, or you can follow me at Larry McIntosh. We're back with singer-songwriter Sierra Noble. So we're talking about, you just got back from Nashville a week or so ago, got an album on the go. Now, I found it very interesting when you were doing this album, and I'm sure it's public knowledge, but if not, too late. But you did this funding of the album in a different way. Want to tell us a little bit about that?
So a large part of the funding for this album came from doing a Kickstarter campaign. And if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, it's a crowdfunding website where artists of all different levels, from like very amateur first show or first album to huge artists who have been doing this for years and have just decided they don't want to use a record label.
Oh,
so
okay.
we basically just make a video and share a little bit of the songs for the album, and we ask our fans to help fund the album. And they can donate anywhere from $1 to, the max can be exorbitant, like $8,000, which is crazy. So I decided to do a Kickstarter, and the response was unbelievable. It's really kind of one of the most incredible experiences you can have as an artist, to see the feedback from the fans.
So between you and me, when you kicked this off and you're looking for funding to complete the album, were you fearful that nobody would?
Absolutely.
Because, I could see that, right?
Totally.
And then
you're like, no, just kidding. I didn't do a Kickstarter. No, I didn't. No. And it's also scary because even if people do pledge, like I set my goal at $8,000, I think, or
and you went over that?
Very much so over. But for instance, if I got $7,999 by the time it ends, I wouldn't get any of it.
Oh, really?
So it has to reach the goal for people's money to go through to
the
artist.
Okay. It's
an all or nothing platform. There's other ones that are formatted differently, but Kickstarter's all or nothing. So, if it does well, then you get the money. If it's even $1 short, you don't. So it is super stressful. But
and as you may know, Shelley and I are fans of yours, and we followed the Kickstarter campaign, and we looked at the videos, and you sent us emails as you did anybody that donated something, I'm sure, to update them. And it was an interesting journey to get there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's very emotional, and I tried to be as, interactive and open and honest with my backers as possible. I hope you enjoyed the journey a little bit. It's still
Absolutely.
ongoing. I mean, the album's not out yet, so I'm still doing updates and keeping people up to date. But
Now, is it normal, and I don't know if the word is normal or not, but you offered to, do things for people that donated at certain levels, whether it was sing their favorite song
yeah.
or whatever. Is that the way it normally works? Or
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's kind of the really fun part about it is you can be as creative or not as you want. So a lot of artists come up with really wacky things like I will knit you myself a pair of socks. It's just like crazy
Okay.
things,
All
but
right.
it makes it personal. So you're like, wow, I could have a pair of socks knit by Sierra, and I can have that forever just because I helped her make her album. And it just makes it personal. So I have to write a lot of postcards to people, and my hand's going to hurt a lot. I had to write out a lot of lyric sheets and do a few really fun covers of people's songs, and it's going to be really fun. I'm excited to fulfill all of those packages.
So you got enough money to produce the album, and it'll be out in a little while.
Yeah.
All new songs. It's got to be a very exciting time.
I'm really excited.
So now when the album comes out, you still call them albums?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I do.
Yeah. Do you go on tour to try and promote it, or what's the next step?
Yeah, that's the plan. A lot of marketing and a lot of show bookings. Just try and get on, of course, the really great goal is to get on a tour as an opening act for a bigger artist. And
Okay. Yeah.
just to start, and so hopefully that happens. But if not, then I will just hit the road on my own and have a blast doing it.
I'm sure you will.
I'm looking forward to getting out there and playing all these new songs for everyone.
You seem to enjoy everything you do. Would that be true?
I do. I really
Is there
do.
what is the least part of the favorite of the business that you have? The least favorite thing in the business?
Waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in there's when you're kind of finished recording the album, and then it's like the mixing process and then the mastering process. It's just a lot of waiting.
Waiting. Yeah.
Like, I just want to put it out. But you have to go through all of that process, and it's a long process. So it's I'm not very patient when it comes to music because I just want to do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it as much as I can.
So once the album's released, do you actually sell CDs, or do you sell more digitally, or is it a bit of both, or how's it work?
Well, these days, things are much more in the digital age, but the great thing about touring and playing shows is you can sell physical albums at shows off stage, and it's a great way to connect with fans and have something physical that they can take home with them. So I decided for this album to still really focus a lot on the artwork because I wanted to have it be a really beautiful thing they can bring home with them and have something special to keep and not just 10 files on their computer.
And I 100% agree with that. I still need that tangible thing to appreciate it. We're speaking with Sarah Noble. We'll be right back after this break for your cottage country weather. Welcome back to Food and Friends. I'm Larry McIntosh. I want to remind you that today's featured recipe of the day at peakmarket.com and in the Winnipeg Free Press is Oriental Crab Spread. This recipe would be great for dipping carrots or celery sticks. Oriental Crab Spread is today's recipe of the day in the Winnipeg Free Press and at peakmarket.com. And both the Winnipeg Free Press and our website have a new recipe every day, 7 days a week, so please check them out. We're back with Sarah Noble, singer-songwriter. So, Sarah, I just want to ask you, do you have a favorite vegetable?
Oh, kale right now.
Kale is huge right
I
now.
love kale.
That crop is being harvested as we speak and has been for about a week.
Yay!
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's everywhere now.
It took me a
Kale.
while to get into it, but then just something clicked, and I was like, I love kale.
And it's
Brussels sprouts
and
are
Brussels
a new
sprouts.
love of
Yeah.
mine.
Okay.
I hated them for a long time.
And the interesting thing about kale is it's been around probably for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the last maybe 3 years, it's kind of caught on as a superfood.
Yeah.
It's good for you, but it's been around forever. It used to be that little green thing on your plate of food at a restaurant
Right.
to give it color.
don't
Nobody
eat.
ever ate
Yeah.
it, right? You shoved it aside. But now it's salads, smoothies, drinks, all sorts of things
I
happening.
just made a smoothie with kale in it this morning.
There you go. So you are a
and
kale
ate a
fan.
huge kale salad yesterday.
Okay. And do you have a favorite recipe when you think of vegetables? What comes to mind?
Well, I make a pretty killer kale salad actually.
Oh.
And it was inspired by a restaurant in Nashville. It's I lay all the kale leaves out flat and then I roll them up and then I slice them really, really thin. So it's like kind of a like coleslaw, like stringy, really thin, so it's easier to eat. And then it's really just like lemon, olive oil. I use some Manitoba hemp oil because it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Tastes really great and nutty. And garlic and honey and just lots of yummy stuff. And shake it all up into a dressing. And there we go. Parmesan cheese done.
Sounds good. We'll be right back with Sarah Noble. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. Food and Friends Radio is on TV. Each radio show is filmed and will be posted on Mytoba.ca later today. So if you want to see the TV version of this or previous radio shows, please visit Mytoba.ca. Thanks to 680 CJOB's Nicole, who produces our show, and Riley, who operates the camera, as well as the teachers of the Broadcasting and Media Arts program at TechVoc High School. You can also listen to an audio podcast of Food and Friends at SoundCloud.com and at the iTunes Store. So please just do a search for Food and Friends with Larry at Mytoba.ca or SoundCloud.com or the iTunes Store, and all the shows will come up for your listening or viewing pleasure. We're back with Sarah Noble, who's a singer-songwriter extraordinaire. You started your career quite young. How old were you when you did your first, I don't know if professional would be right?
Well, my first album I was 14.
14.
Yeah.
Album.
I released it actually just a few days after my 14th birthday, so I was 13.
Wow.
But yeah, I started touring and but was doing shows locally in Manitoba and the prairies before that.
Now you're from Ottawa. You were born in Ottawa, is that right?
Born in Ottawa, moved to Winnipeg when I was 1.
Oh, 1. So Ottawa doesn't really
so I'm
count.
a Winnipegger.
Ottawa cannot count you as one of their famous people then.
No.
You're from
no,
Winnipeg.
they're not allowed. I'm a Winnipegger. Yep.
So an album at 14, how do you even go about that at 14 years old? I don't even know how you do it at 25, but how do you do it at 14?
I wanted to, I guess.
And didn't know you shouldn't be able to? Or
I guess.
just did it?
When you're that young, it's like, I want to do that, so why not? And, I have an amazing, supportive mom who never told me I couldn't do anything, really, as far as following my dreams.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, sure. So I recorded 14 songs, 14 fiddle tunes with local guitarist and producer Randy Hebert, who has been down in the States for a really long time now. He's the lead guitarist for the Bellamy Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And just hung out with him recently. It had been years, but he was just in Winnipeg. He had moved back, and I caught him right at the right time, and we recorded an album. And then as soon as it was done, he got called back down to Nashville to join back up with the Bellamy Brothers. So I got lucky.
Sometimes, I'm a big believer in fate sometimes, right? Sometimes things happen for a reason. And
really.
So was that all? It was all fiddle? Was there singing
tunes.
as well?
No.
Okay,
I didn't start singing until I was 17.
Oh, so late in your
18.
career.
Super late, Larry. I was an old lady. Yep.
So what made you change?
I was a little bit tricked into it, to be honest. I was terrified of singing. I was convinced from many different ways that I wasn't good enough at singing to actually be a singer.
Really?
I was even terrified to sing harmonies on stage with other people that I'd play with. I just didn't think I could sing. I didn't think that was a thing I could do. And I also, kind of considered in my mind, even if I can sing, I don't want to sing unless I'm as good at singing as I am at playing the fiddle, because I don't want it to, like, take away from my fiddle playing. So I was just making up a lot of excuses in my head to not sing because I was scared. But then I got asked by Chris Gaffney and Keith McPherson to try writing a song with them. Just writing. They were like, no, you don't even need to sing it. That's what's great about songwriting. You don't even have to sing it. Just write it. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. Okay. So we got together and we wrote Possibility, which was my first single,
right,
as it turned out. So we wrote it, and then they were like, all right, well, now we have to do a demo of it. And they stuck a microphone in front of my face. I was like, no, Keith's a great singer. He can sing it. They're like, no, it's better coming from a girl. This is a girl song. I was like, I didn't want to sing. So then but they made me sing it, and I thought it was terrible. So I asked Chris if I could go back and re-sing it, and did that probably about 5 times. And in that process, I kind of got more comfortable with my voice and started learning that I didn't sound all that terrible.
So from the first time to the 5th time, did you change, or you just got more comfortable with it?
I think I got more comfortable with singing and got to know my own voice a little bit. I've come a long way since then, even since that EP, but it was a great gift, a really great trickery.
Now, you still play the fiddle?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yeah. I play on this album. There's a couple tracks that I play fiddle on, or a few, and then there's also some with like string arrangements on it and more like poppy strings. I don't know. It's just different expressions of my love of the violin. So
you call a fiddle and a violin. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, same instrument.
Just sounds more
interchangeable.
Down to earth as a fiddle, I guess, than a violin.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I guess classical music is usually violin, and then anything else is fiddle. But it's also very interchangeable. I know some symphony players that call it a fiddle, and old Métis, old-time players that call it a violin. So.
And whatever you call it, you do a beautiful job on it. So
you
can't you're good either way. We're speaking with Sarah Noble, who we all know is a singer, songwriter, and musician? Not a magician, musician. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. I'm Larry McIntosh. I want to let you know that Peak of the Market kale and zucchini are now in your local store. In another week or two, you'll see Manitoba-grown beets, green, red, and Savoy cabbage, cauliflower, and cucumbers. So lots of crops coming off every day now. It's an exciting time of year at Peak of the Market for Manitoba-grown vegetables. And as always, if it says Peak of the Market on the label, you're guaranteed it's grown right here in Manitoba. We're back with Sarah Noble. So we were talking about your album earlier, City of Ghosts, coming out soon. Got the artwork being done. Very, very exciting time.
Yeah.
But exciting time has happened a lot for you. I mean, I was looking when we were doing research for this, just reminding myself. I mean, some of your songs have been on TV shows.
Yeah.
So One Tree Hill, Life Unexpected, Switched at Birth, and Parenthood. I mean, that's pretty significant, right?
It's pretty awesome. That's a really cool feeling to like watch an episode of a show that you actually watch and then hear your song in it. Parenthood was a huge one for I was like, I want Parenthood. It was really great.
And I can't even imagine. But I also know you opened for Bon Jovi and Sir Paul McCartney, as well as performed at the 2010 Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's been some pretty crazy times.
So sometimes you take a step back and say, you can't believe all this. I mean,
Totally.
you're super talented, right? I mean, but still, it's got to be surreal to some degree.
It is. Yeah, I definitely, I think everyone in their life, but especially artists of any kind, when we're really just kind of on those days where it's not the easiest and you're just getting frustrated and doubting yourself, and you just get wrapped up in the present and how difficult it is or it can be. It's it's really important to like step back and look at your accomplishments, and it really I feel so blessed whenever I'm feeling like anxious or doubtful or anything. I look back at the last 10 years and feel nothing but blessed and thankful and grateful to all the people that have brought me to where I am now. It's amazing.
About 6 weeks ago, we had Fred Penner on the show. So Fred's been doing the business for a long time, another Winnipeg well-known celebrity. And he says that if he doesn't perform for a couple weeks, he actually thinks he's going to lose his talent. He's going to forget how to do it. And do you feel that as well?
I totally empathize with that.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in this past year, like recording the album. Like when you're in that mode, you're not necessarily in performance mode. And it's been, like, I definitely play shows every once in a while no matter what. But, you know, like being in tour mode is totally different than recording mode. And when a couple weeks or even a couple months goes by, it's like all of a sudden start getting nervous for shows again. And you're like, it's been a while. Hi, stage. How you been? It's been a while. This is scary a little bit. But then you get up there and you start, and it's just like riding a bike.
So you've been in Nashville for a while. You live in Winnipeg on occasion. You've toured North America, South America, other countries as well.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, where's your bed? Do you feel like this is home, or do you feel comfortable wherever you are?
I think I kind of feel comfortable wherever I am.
Good for you.
Winnipeg is always home and always will be. Nashville feels very homey as well now. I've been there for about a year, on and off. I come back here a lot, so can't say exactly a year, but I think I just, like, when you start traveling that much when you're really young, then you're able to just kind of relax wherever you are. I don't often get homesick. Like, I just enjoy wherever I am.
Good for you. So do you meet lots of people, interesting musicians on the road or in Nashville? Doc Walker, have you run into them down there? I know they've been there.
Speaking of Doc Walker, their longtime guitar player, Murray Pulver, produced my album.
Oh, okay.
So I hang out with him a lot. And yeah, totally run into those guys sometimes. Well, in January, I had an amazing experience. I got to go on what's called the Cayamo Cruise. It's a big Americana music cruise, and I was hired to play on it, along with some of my all-time heroes in music. There was Lyle Lovett, John Prine, Lucinda Williams, Sean Colvin, Brandi Carlile. Who else was on it? So many amazing artists. And like when you're on a cruise ship, you run into these people quite often and they're band members. And, like I hung out with Lucinda Williams' guitar player almost every night and just talked, and he's just awesome. It's like, it was so cool. And getting to meet one of my favorite fiddle players, Fats Kaplan, who's in Buddy Miller's band and Jack White's band. That was very cool. Being in a confined space in the middle of the ocean with some of your heroes is never a bad thing.
No, I'll say. So what's your favorite memory in the last 11 years of your career?
That's a horrible question.
I'm sorry, I don't have good questions
so
always.
Hard. No, I'm kidding. It's so hard. Favorite memory of the last...
What's your favorite memory? Is it doing the album? Was it being with Paul McCartney? Was it, what's this?
Wow.
You must have a favorite. No?
That's hard.
We only ask the hard questions here, you know that.
Yeah. Peak of the market is serious. Serious times.
Well, I'll let you ponder that if you don't have an answer.
You know what? I think one of my favorite, it's not the favorite,
but
one of the most overwhelming experiences I've had was when I was playing in the Olympics opening ceremonies. We had in-ear monitors in for the whole performance because it was all pre-tracked. Spoiler, it wasn't live. Sorry, everyone. But too much at stake.
Yes.
So we had in-ear monitors, so they're kind of like earplugs, so you can't really hear anything except what's in the track. So once we ran off stage, I yelled to everyone, I was like, take your in-ears out. So we took them out, and the sound of the crowd, it was like 10,000 lions roaring at the same time. It was so overwhelming. And then we just cried for like an hour together.
We'll be right back with Sierra Noble after this break. Welcome back to Food and Friends. Please join me next Saturday at 8 a.m. when my guest will be Lisa Desup, Director of Marketing and Communications of the Children's Museum. We're talking to Sierra Noble today, and this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming back from Nashville. I know you didn't come back for us, but coming back from Nashville to be on the show.
Thanks you for having me back on the show.
And we look forward to the new album, City of Ghosts.
Yes.
Coming out soon.
I'll come back on the show when it's out.
Perfect. Thanks for being on Food and Friends. Thanks, everybody. Take care, and please don't forget to eat your veggies.